Hey everyone. In this walkthrough, I'll be introducing a new feature we've added to our software, the ability to tag scan loops and view them within an interactive timeline. This feature is designed to improve how we analyze, organize, and navigate measurements, making it easier to recognize meaningful scans and interventions. In this video, I'll walk through what's new, highlight some of the important changes to the project workflow, and give you a preview of where we're heading next with this capability. Before we dive into new features, let's take a quick step back and revisit how the project workflow is structured and why tagging is needed. Our workflow follows the hierarchical model. Projects contain experiments, experiments contain well plates contain scan loops, and each scan loop contains a series of measurements or images. Most of these layers are easy to conceptualize because they either have a name or a meaningful label, but scan loops are a bit more abstract since their unique identifier is just a timestamp with no other differentiating details from one scan loop to the next. That's where tagging comes in. With potentially hundreds of scan loops in a single experiment, it becomes really hard to sift through and find the measurements that matter, and even harder to filter out the outliers. By adding meaningful tags to scan loops, we're able to highlight eventful moments in an experiment, whether it's a drug intervention, media change, or simply a note to ignore this outlier. Tags turn anonymous time points into insights and analysis into a much less painful process. So to summarize before we jump into the demo, here's a high-level overview of what's new, what's changed, and what's planned. The new features include the reason for all of this, scan loop tags. Alongside tagging, we have the new interactive event timeline to help easily find scan loops of interest. This also introduces the new concept of scan type groups, as well as the ability to view measurement details within the scan loop table. This means that some of the things that have changed include the scan loop table to show tag and measurement details, also an updated scan loop view page to help manage tags, and both of these pages have new optimized queries to reduce initial load times for large experiments. Now looking ahead, I'd love your feedback on a few planned features. The first being auto tagging. How should we define rules or triggers that can intelligently tag scan loops and prompt users to add more insight? The next being the ability to search and filter tags. While this technically exists already, the current query syntax isn't very intuitive. We want to make tag-based searching more user-friendly, both for users and the data science team. And lastly, integration with Profile Manager. How should tags be utilized in profile management and accessible throughout all dashboards? So, with all this in mind, let's get to the demo. Jumping into the new well plate view, the first thing that will stand out to you is the event timeline. The purpose of this component is to serve as a more intuitive time series view of all the scan loops. The event timeline is broken into two major sections. The top timeline is the interactive focus view, while the bottom timeline is the overall context view that lets you know which part of the experiment you're currently viewing. In the top level focus view, you're able to hover over a node and extract a lot of information. The color of the node relates to the status of a scan loop, green obviously being good, blue being pending, and if there were any errors, a red one would pop up as well. You're also able to see if it has a top node, that means that scan loop is tagged. So we see that this one has an ignore tag because it is pending and there is no actual measurements. So if I were to click on that, it actually jumps down to the actual scan loop in the table where I could click this drop down, get more measurement information. I see that it was a electrical with a cardiac scan. This shows the order at which it was scheduled to run in. This is the typical impedance template followed up by a cardiac scan. And there was no data on any measurement, which kind of highlights why this was in a pending state. This can be very useful for debugging. Now, how did this ignore tag actually get there? Well, if you hover over a row in the scan loop table, you see this little tag icon pop up in the action column. So if I were to click on this, you get this new modal that kind of shows you this is to act as kind of like the tag manager, where you can see this list of all the tags currently on it. If there wasn't, it would show empty. You have the ability to add a new tag, and you can select its label. By default, we have 3 different types of interventions that we know we're going to be having. This is very easy for us to add and remove or change the labeling for any type of managed label. I could select anything I want. You can even search if you want, but as you see, as I type in medium, I have this custom field at the bottom, so I'm just going to type in custom, and if I were to hit enter, this also allows users to have a free input labeling where they can also put a description or details if they would want, and simply go and apply. And now we see that we have this custom tag, and if you hover over it, you can actually see the descriptions as well. These ignore tags, whenever you hover over it, you get nothing because you saw that there was not a description on them. Now, if we jump over into a different web plate, I can show off maybe how this could be used in real practice. Hovering over this one, we see this was a drug added event on some test data. If I hover drug added, you can see that this is also a linkified description. So again, looking at it, we see this is just a raw text field that gets linkified. If I hover over, click on it, we can actually maybe see which type of drug it was. In this case, it was an aspirin. I doubt you guys are doing any aspirin stuff, but who knows. This could be a link to anything that bio may want. Maybe it's some type of bio note journal, any type of documentation you have. Doesn't have to be a link, obviously. It can be free form text. Very excited to see how this actually gets used. Looking down at these other tags, this is an example, just a thought I had of maybe a way data science may want to utilize tags for if they ever want to predefine a subset of scan loops. They can tag groups, scan loops with the same tag that will be easily searchable, filterable, however you want it. So these two are group A, this in group B, obviously freeform, however you want to utilize it. But this makes querying and getting the relevant scan loops you want significantly easier. And lastly, if you drill into a scan loop, this page changed a little bit, not anything crazy, but this management tool up here is a little different now. It shows you which tags you have, a little cleaner view, understanding of what's actually relevant to a scan loop, and this button opens the same modal. If I were to go back and select a scan loop that wasn't tagged, you get this little empty modal first, then you can put whatever you want. This also is a freeform list, so if I were to add multiple, I can also delete as I want. You have full CRUD operations, and the apply button will be disabled if it's the exact same of what is currently saved as that scan loop. So that's it for now. Tagging is one of those features where the more you use it, the more value it gains. So we wanted to push this out sooner than later to get everyone's initial thoughts on how this can evolve with auto tagging and searching. Also, with profile management in mind, how can we utilize tags to streamline dashboard configurations? Should tags have an owner field so that we can save filters based on individual analysis? Should we introduce tagging to measurements to help speed up measurement queries? All these things to keep in the back of your mind as we roll this out. As always, if you're interested in trying this out for yourself, it is currently deployed to our test environment, and I hope you all enjoy. Have a good one.